The No Nonsense Roundtable. It's a weekly show broadcast on Rochester, New York's 50,000-watt iHeart radio station, News Radio Wham 1180. The host, Dom Geneva, interviews guests from all walks of life, all with amazing stories to tell. What you are about to hear is a recording of a previous broadcast without the breaks and commercials. Now, here's host Dom Geneva.
This is Dom Geneva. What you're about to hear is a fascinating interview with a fascinating individual. His name is Bobby Rush, blues singer, two-time Grammy Award winner, born in Louisiana on November 10th, 1933. He'll be in town on the 22nd and 23rd to be playing at the Fanatics Pub and Blues Stage in Lima, and this interview is absolutely fascinating, talking about his journey in life, what it was like to grow up in the South in that day and age, and how he moved up the ladder to become a nationally known blues player, and a very, very, very interesting guy. The easiest way to explain this show is that it's people you know you want to know more about, and people you don't know that you should know. You know, so I've had another Grammy winner, or two of them, on the show. Mm-hmm. I had Felix Cavalieri and Gene Cornish. Gene Cornish actually is a Rochester guy, the Rascals from back in the 60s, right? And I've had Emmy winners, and you are you two Grammys, and your life sounds awfully interesting, Bobby. I mean,
well, thank you.
Well, you know, I'm looking at this. I got your wiki page in front of me, and your life has got to be fascinating. Born in Louisiana in 1933. My Lord, the world must have been a hell of a lot different back then, huh?
Well, you know, let's start talking about that. Back in 1933, when I was born, of course, shortly after that, I started knowing what life was all about, because I'm old enough to do it. But since that time, I learned that a lot of things have changed, but I also learned a lot of things have remained the same. A lot of things in a lot of different ways and remain the same. Because as a blues singer and as a black man in this world, I found out that you accepted with a lot of the direction and things, a lot of things you're not. But then when you adapt to life, you knows something that you will not be accepted doing. Otherwise, it's almost like when you go to the woods, you don't be surprised when you see a snake, because a lot of times snakes are in the wood. You don't be surprised when a bear boo-boo in the wood. Where he gonna go? You know, because he lived there. So a lot of things you don't be surprised to do. And in my life, I have grown up spiritually. That doesn't mean that I'm a religion, but spiritually. I learned that there's some things you can't change, you can't do anything about it. It's just part of life. So you have to deal with the rolls and punches, to deal with what it is. In my life, there have been a lot of ups and downs since I've been a grown man. And a lot of it because I'm black, and a lot of it because I had a lack of knowledge of what I was going, or what I was doing, what I should do, or what I should not do. Now, that's my fault. But there's some things that's not my fault that you got to roll with the punches with. Like being privileged to do things and go places that a lot of people don't do. When I was a kid, there was no electric lights that we had as black men and women around the neighborhood I was in. We didn't have no inside toilet. We had to go outside to the toilet. They look bad, they smell bad. Uh-huh. Inside of my house today, I got 9 bathrooms. They look good, they smell good. But what you do inside of the bathroom remain the same. You know, that haven't changed.
That hasn't changed.
So a lot of things change, but a lot of things haven't changed. You know, just your approach to it. But I roll with the punches, because in my life, there have been a lot of valleys, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. But every time I have my down moments, or valley moments, somebody or something come along, left me up. And this morning, this call is one of the times, because I want to talk to you about what you want to talk about. And it left me up because I got someone to talk about some things that hopefully you understand where I was, where I am, where I'm trying to go.
Well, that's exactly what the show is about. The thing is that people have had challenges in their lives. A lot of people have gone backward, that have to go backward to go forward. Certainly, I've had to do it in my life. You fail at a lot of things in your life, but you don't let it get you down. You go around the mountain, through the mountain, or you blow the mountain up. You get some way to get from one way to another. Now, and I think I might have said it before, and I'm going to repeat it again. It's people you know and people you don't know, but you should know. Now, generally speaking, the name Bobby Rush is not, at least here, not well known. I'm talking to 10 or 12,000, 10 or 12,000 people I'm talking to. And then it lives as a YouTube after this and an iHeart and a podcast. So it lives forever. So there are a number of different things about you and your life, and you're going to be in town. I'm looking at your wiki page here, and this is really, when you look at this, I had to smile. So you've been to Sydney, Australia, Paris, France, Tokyo, Japan, Shanghai, China, Johannesburg, South Africa, Berlin, Germany, Rome, Italy, Barcelona, Spain, Lucerne, Switzerland, New York, Chicago, Illinois, Memphis, Tennessee, Los Angeles, California, Jackson, Mississippi, and then you're going to be in Lima, New York in January.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. and you missed a few.
yeah. I'm sure.
Yes.
Well, the Wikipedia, I think, ran out of ink.
That's what they did. Run out of space, man. Space and ink.
Yeah. So, but fascinating. So, born in 1933, blues. I am just now getting indoctrinated, if you will, or involved with blues because of Jim Shelley and his stage that he has in Lima. And Jim says, well, you got to talk to Bobby Rush about the blues. Says 2 Grammy Awards. He's been doing it forever. He has a wonderful outlook of life, which we already found out, right now. And he says, besides talking about the blues, you'll be talking to Bobby about life all told, which just sounds like is right up your alley.
Yeah, something like that. I'm so glad you mentioned it. I want to thank Jim for having me, thinking enough of my music and myself and what I do to invite me to Lima. I want people to know this about me. I had my ups and my downs. I fell, but I never wallowed in my falling. I never stumbled after my falling. Otherwise, after I fell, I always get up, dust myself off, and go again. And I do that for myself, but I also want to make a statement to other people. If I can do it as a country boy, you can too.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what life is about. That's what life's about. Don't give up, because that's some mistakes I made in my life. And I haven't did everything just right. But if I had to do everything that I did, I probably would do everything over again, because I did the best I could do at the time I made a decision to do it. So it was an honest decision to do it, even though it could have been wrong to the eyesight now when I look back at it. But at the moment, I did all I know how to do at that moment. So that means it was right to do what I did,
Yep.
And that's just where I come from. I thank you for bringing that to the light, because I want people to know that, yes, I failed, and yes, I didn't do all the right thing and all the things I should have done, but you do the best you can do at the time you do it. And as the Bible books say, if you learn better, you do better.
Right, and I have another expression people know that I say. Not everybody that plays the piano can make music. So God.
That's right.
Right. Right. So
I use that one forever.
But isn't that true? That we tell our
that's true.
We tell our children, you can do anything you want. No, you can't.
No.
God gives you a talent, and there's another fellow that is a Rochester guy. He's the musical director for Sergio Mendes, Scott Mayo. He says I've been given a gift. Yeah, he says I realize that God's given me a gift. He says, but you have to work damn hard too. And he says, and that's a problem with a lot of people, is they just don't want to work that hard, even if they have a talent.
Well, you're so right, but my take on that is that you can teach a man how to play a guitar, harmonica, piano, but you can't teach a man how to perform, be an entertainer. You got to be born to do that. You can cultivate yourself but you got to be born to do that. It don't happen. It could be in you to do it. You make yourself better, but you got to be born to do it.
Yeah,
No, that's a gift within. That's a God gift. You know, you don't teach every person how to entertain. You're born to do that.
I'm smiling now because I can subscribe to that, because there's a difference. You need what you're talking about. At least I'm paraphrasing what you're talking about. Is engaging the audience. And
That's right. That's right. That's right. You know, I don't mean to put
no, go ahead.
cause what you said there is so right. Because see, let me make an example here. A cow is very important, and a horse very important. One pull a wagon or you ride him, and one give milk. They both important, but they're two different things.
Right.
You know, it's like the drummer with the Elton John is just as talented as Elton John, but they do two different things.
Yeah.
He's not Elton John. You know, B.B. King, a guy who played guitar with him or for him, not B.B. King. That's a difference. That is a difference. Is when you speak like that in front of musicians, sometimes you get thrown an egg at them, because I'm not talking about they less than something else, but somebody's born to do other things. And in the pastor of a church, everybody ain't the pastor. You may have a lot of preachers there, but everybody ain't the pastor.
Right.
Right. You know, so that's a different role. You know.
Yeah.
That's a different role. And people have to respect that and look into that and grab your hold and fit in where you fit in.
We're going to go a lot of different places here. You know, the show I have is sort of like I sit down with somebody, have a beer or a cup of coffee, and we just talk. Okay, and that's sort of where we're going to go now. So I am a convert to the blues because Jimmy invited me to his place, which he's had forever. He's 6 miles away from my house, for God's sakes. And somebody says, "Oh, you got to come see Jimmy's place." I came to see Jimmy's place, and it is absolutely fantastic. But here's the thing. I'm talking to a lot of people that, like myself, have very little knowledge of the blues, and it doesn't get the press that a lot of other music does. And let's talk about the blues a little bit. I mean, the history of the blues. Blues is different than jazz. I mean, jazz, you go here or there. You know, like bebop. I hate bebop, but I love the blues. You know what I mean? So let's talk about the blues. What makes the blues the blues?
Let me dive into that conversation about the blues. Now, because the blues don't get the recognition they get, let me tell you why. First of all, because blues were originated mostly, I didn't say all, from black people, black men and women, slavery. But the blues is the mother of all music. It transcends from African to what have you. That's the blues. That don't mean it's good, bad, ugly, or what have you. But it's the mother of all music. And if you don't like the blues, you probably don't like your mama. You see, but why people don't know about a Bobby Rush? I'm using me for an example, and a lot of other people like me, because intentionally, because it was to be hidden, because nobody who writes about it wants to stick black people and the blues out up front, because they give too much credit to black people. Now, when the white guys started doing it, it changed the pace a little bit. I said a little bit, because it's all right now the blues is all right. But at one time back in the day, blues wasn't all right to do, especially for white folks to listen to.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't all right to do. That was something less than something else. You know, and it was painted that because most of the black people were doing it. It's just like from the juke joint. All the juke joints and everything, or what black people were playing in back in the day, that's all they had to play and where they had to play. No other place to play unless they play for the slave owner who, down to his big house, they called it the big house. That's all the way they had to play. And that was it, man, you know. And they played for people at the front door, back door, little club, big club. Now, if you go to the black neighborhood, it's not that many black people own the juke joint. Most of the juke joint you see now is owned by white people. Yeah. They pay the same money as they were paying back in slavery, with little or nothing. And that's what it is, because they want you to think that blues is something less than something else. Now you got the British guy and most of the overseas guys, and you got a lot of white guys in the U.S. playing the blues as good and sometimes better than the black guys play. Now it's popular than ever. Thank God for these guys playing it. But what I don't like about that, they don't tell where it's come from.
Yeah. Well, the story is that I've become good friends with Felix Calvieri, and
Yeah.
I mentioned that before. And the Rascals, they didn't know that they were white. They thought they were black when you first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like John Orwell with WLAC and National Tennessee.
Yeah.
They portrayed they were black, and they didn't tell nobody there was white guys who were talking like black guys talking, sometimes with broken language and the whole bit intentionally, so they could sound black, so can get the black thing over to black people, because what they were selling to was black people. Then later on, it started being migrated kind of a radio listeners. The white people would listen to it, and they were sneaking. A lot of them were sneaking and listening to the blues.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yeah. There's more of a electric rock and roll blues and the more of a traditional. Is that? Am I right about that? It seems like some of it is awfully loud and almost rock. I mean, you listen to some of these performers that maybe the younger fellas, but this traditional older stuff where maybe it's just one or two guys, or one guy and a guitar and a banjo and stomp on his feet. I mean, I have to tell you, there's a couple of guys that I've seen at his club that are just amazing. It's just them. So tell me a little bit about that. I mean, the different flavors.
Yeah, but because some modification of the blues, because black guys back in the early 30s or late 20s, they didn't have no amplifier. They wasn't amplified. It was acoustic guitar. When they called them acoustic guitar, really, they didn't have no amplifier. They didn't have amplifier. They had nothing to plug them up to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what. And now the white guys come along. They have money. The parents give them money to have some outlet to buy a better guitar with electrified and a whole bit. Black guys didn't have that the earlier days. Not that they couldn't play it; they just didn't have the amplification.
Well, you don't even have to sing anymore. Why they have that auto tune or whatever it is? They can make it sound.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right. That's right. If the note wrong, they can auto tune it into key. And I could imitate the guy. I heard a guy just not long ago was singing one of Albert King's songs. He was a guy who was singing, white guy, playing well. He said, Albert King's song, he said, "I've been down so long, ever since I began to crawl."
Yeah.
And the guy was he was trying to get closer to him. He said, "I've been down so long, ever since I began to crawl." And it's the same thing, crawl.
Uh-huh.
But he get closer he could, because he wanted to sound like the black guy who sound. But they would buy his record, come to see him sing like Albert King, but they wouldn't come to see Albert King when he was living.
Yeah. I have another friend.
That's life.
Yeah, no, I have another friend of mine who recorded in Motown back in the day, and he was talking about just that, the technology, how the technology like an echo chamber was an echo chamber. Yeah, it was Barry Gordy's basement had a room that really echoed very well.
Yeah.
So
that's right. That was the echo chamber. I recorded a couple of days ago when a guy said, "Hey man, listen, let's record on a bullet." Now, a bullet is a microphone, sound like Little Walter.
Okay.
But Little Walter didn't have no bullet. All he had was that little amplifier he had in his throat with the harmonica. So they tried to get close to him that he could. They had to buy a bullet to sound more like Little Walter. Well, I told him, man, so listen, I don't have to have no bullet to sound like Little Walter. I'm born in 1933. I'm like Little Walter, man. Come on. Just give me any microphone. And I can make it sound just like that, because it's just in my blood, in my throat, in my genes, man.
Yeah. Well, you know what listeners like? Listeners like stories of people who've met people. I have to tell you, I'm looking at this here. You met and befriended Little Walter, Muddy Water. I mean, these are names that a lot of people know. So tell me about some. Let's.
I took it for granted. I took it for granted, man. I took it for granted.
Yeah.
I took B.B. King for granted, man. I remember. B.B. King was old, man, and he was he went his birthday party. He was 29 years old. He threw his birthday party.
No, you're calling him old at 29? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I was about 18. See,
Oh, yeah.
He was. Yeah, I was about 18 years old.
Well,
maybe
I'm gonna stop you here. There's something in Wiki saying that you put on a false mustache once to look old. Is that
because
true?
I couldn't get into place, man, until you was 18 years old. So I was 15 years old, painting myself a mustache to get into place, playing with Elmo James, Muddy Waters, and Howlin' Wolf. Yeah.
I guess you do what you have to do. Well, go ahead. You were talking about B.B. King.
But one thing I regret, because I didn't have cameras like they do now. I regret that all them years I was with the guys, and I didn't really get any photos because wasn't nothing low.
Oh yeah,
snap camera. We didn't have nothing to preserve the guys and pictures and stuff like they do this. Some people had it, but I didn't have it. Come from a poor area and environment and time. I didn't have it, and I regret that. And I going forward with that a few years when B.B. King invited me. I'm sorry, I mentioned B.B. King, but B.B. King was at the party for Muddy Water's birthday. He was 29 years old. And I was doing something, I don't know what I was doing, and I forgot his birthday party. It was 10:30, so my wife said, I had married early, my young wife that time. Mm-hmm. She said, I thought you was going to B.B. Muddy Water's birthday party, because B.B. King's already there. I said, oh, yeah. She says 10:30. I said, oh, God, it's supposed to be from 8 to 10. And I went down there, and sure enough, at 10 o'clock, he was hanging out the window because the club, Sealy Club, was on Lake and Western in Chicago. And he was upstairs, so the club was downstairs. He was hanging out the window. He looked at me and said, Blood, that's what Muddy Water called me. Come on back to the back. You late for the party. I got all the girls up here. When I went there, he had about 8 or 10 ladies up there. They all had short dresses on. They were old ladies, too. They were like 25 and 28 years old. One lady was 33 years old. I said, how old is she? She said, I'm 33. And I tipped out the back door because them ladies were too old, man. You got to understand, I'm still 18 years old, maybe 18, And I regret that. I tipped off the left because Muddy Water saw something in me as a young kid. I don't know what he saw in me.
Yeah, well, that's some people have God's gifts, and I think it might sound silly, but I think like your aura shows through on the outside. Some people their soul shows through on the outside. If you have talent, somebody recognizes. It's like my daughter's a photographer. She's taking photographs for the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, and everything. She's got an eye. There's something about that kid. She sees something that somebody else doesn't see.
Well, I guess what Muddy Water saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. Yeah. Other people didn't see. But when I look back on it, wow. I learned a lot from his playing. But I didn't learn much from his conversation because all he talked about how much whiskey he could drink, how many ladies he had, how high he could get on reefers and smoke. It wasn't anything but reefers. It wasn't anything else at that time that I know about. And I had my first drink with him. I taken 3 beers with him in 1957. I haven't had one before or since.
Wow.
And he just took in the life of me. And I wish I had given him more of my time.
Well, I always learn something in these interviews, and you just said something. You just said something that's pretty profound. He saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself.
Right.
That's
apparently.
Yeah. But isn't that? I mean, you talk about children and how they get raised and how they're encouraged or not encouraged or whatever. That's a pretty good point right there.
I used to see Albert King would come to. I was playing in a place. Mm-hmm. He would call me up and say, "Robert Rich, where are you tonight?" I said, "Well, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm using it for an example." He said, "Okay, man, I'm gonna see you tomorrow night. It'd be like on a Thursday night. I'm gonna see you tomorrow night." And he'll get there. I said, "Well, Albert King, you called me yesterday. Where were you? In Detroit, Michigan, and you come to see me?" These guys would drive sometimes 500 or 600 miles to see me if they was off. Mm. What did they see in me? Now I look back on that. Point I'm getting to it with is that I wish I had did them the same way.
Yeah.
'Cause a lot of times I'll be ducking them. I don't know, man. Here come Muddy Water, man. He want me to go someplace with him. I don't want to go with the old guys. Man, he 30 years old, man. Come on. But that just lack of knowledge. I didn't have no idea I was in that kind of company.
You keep on talking about old people that are a third of our age. You know what I mean?
Well, when you're 17, 18 years old, somebody 30 years old,
Yeah.
man, that seems like God, Methuselah, you know.
Well, yeah. You know, Johnny Carson said old is 15 years older than whatever you are. He says if you're 5, 20 is old.
Yeah.
So you know,
That's right.
But speaking of that, I mean, your last Grammy you got what when you were how old?
The first one, 83.
83, yeah.
83. Yeah, 83 years old. The first one. You know, I wasn't expecting it because I had been up nominated a few times, and I thought it was just going to be another day where I get nominated and come there and appreciate with the nomination and take a bow and go home. But what I wanted, I wasn't really prepared for the win, you know, because I wasn't thinking I was going to win deep down inside. And the last time I put my the acoustic thing out, and I won, and it really surprised me again. Now I'm up this time for nominated for a couple of categories, and I'm hoping I win. But if I don't bring it home, I'm still a winner because I'm in the race.
Oh.
That's my attitude now. That's my attitude, you know.
Well, it's got to be reward. It's got to be the respect of your peers, whether you win or not. I mean, people are recognizing you as somebody, you know, with talent and value and whatever, right? I mean,
that's true. And that makes you feel good. But beyond that, though, it's sometimes my category because I'm old enough to know that wasn't no the category for the kind of music that I play. Mm-hmm. That now most of it because I'm a black man. Because if black people played everything I play and white people didn't play it, wouldn't be a category for it because they're not concerned about a category just for black people. But when black people done it too, so it makes a category for it because you got other people involved with it. Let's face the fact.
It is absolutely inconceivable to me to have any type of idea at all about the headwinds that you had in Louisiana in the 30s. I mean, I couldn't imagine how difficult and different that was back then.
Well, let me give you a little step of my getting to Chicago.
Yeah, please.
In 1947, I left Louisiana with my father, who was a preacher and a pastor of a church. Went to Pine Bluff, Arkansas. That's where I met Elmo James, B.B. King, and all these guys, Muddy Water and Howlin' Wolf. And I didn't have enough money to go to Chicago, which Muddy Waters invited me to Chicago with Willie Dixon at Chess Record. I didn't have enough money to go there. So in 1951, I finally got enough money picking cotton, chopping cotton, till I got my ticket to Memphis, Tennessee, where B.B. King was a WDIA and Rufus Thomas were working on the street, on Beale Street. And then Sonny Boy Williams was in Helena, Arkansas, which is about 22 miles across the river in Arkansas. So I went to Memphis, Tennessee to work on Beale Street. I worked on Beale Street with a shoebox, tap dancing with my guitar and on tips. I was making $3 and $4 a week till I got enough money to go to St. Louis, East St. Louis, where Albert King was living then in Lovejoy, Illinois, and Chuck Berry was in St. Louis. So I went and worked with them for 2 or 3 weeks and made me about $8 or $9. Then I got enough money to go to Chicago. When I got to Chicago, the first man I met in the street was J.B. Lenoir. Mm-hmm. And he also knew where Muddy Water was living. I went by his house and we all kind of hooked up, and they invited me down to Chess to get a job at Chess. So when I got to Chess, I was sitting there, Bo Diddley was there, Muddy Water was there, Jimmy Reed was there, which he wouldn't sign with Chess, but he was there, Smoker Hall, Lil Walter, and a bunch of guys was sitting there. Muddy Water was already on the label. Him and Little Walter were playing harmonica for Muddy Water. So Howlin' Wolf wasn't living in Chicago, but he was in Memphis negotiating a deal. So I wanted me a record deal too. But I flunked the record deal. Let me tell you how I flunked the record deal.
Hmm.
That was a piece of paper on the table, like a flyer, said 10 and 208 was journeying, gonna merge together. I thought it was two unions, but I found out later it was the same union with a division inside the union.
Ah.
One represent white guy and the other side represent the black guy inside the union. That was a separate in the union, 10 and 208. So I looked at the paper. I said, God, this going to be great. I said, the union is merging. So Bo Diddley was sitting there. He laughed. I thought he was laughing about me, little country boy, or my accent or what have you. But I found out later that wasn't what he was laughing about. As the story, as I tell the story, you'll find out what he was laughing about. I read this paper. So by that time, Leonard and Thea was two brothers who owned Chess Records. Leonard came out. So what your boy laughing about? I didn't say anything, but Bo Diddley said, Bobby Ray said the union is merging. This is how he said it. Bobby Ray said the union is merging. Ha, 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 ha. And laughed again.
Uh-huh.
By that time, the other brother walked in. So what y'all laughing about? They said Bobby Ray said the union is merging. So where you get the information? It's off your desk. And sure enough, the paper was there. He looked at it and threw it back to me. So what did it say, boy? He said that in that word, like, what did it say, boy? And I read it to him. He turned and told his brother, so we can't use it because he can read. So I didn't get the job. I didn't get the job.
Oh.
So I walked out without a contract.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I went over to BJ Records, try to get on BJ Records and just try to hustle my way around. But then I met a guy who taken me in and embraced me. It was a white guy. His name was Caesar Capone. I didn't know at the time who he was. He was a brother to Al Capone.
Oh.
That's who I give my credit to my career.
Yeah, you the stuff that you've seen. Tell me more about. Give me more stories about people that you've seen. That was a great story, by the way.
He got me a job. He got me a job on Rush Street in Chicago. Rush Street should have been my street, but place says no color allowed.
Wow.
I got three white guys, four men with myself, three white guys, and did an audition for Kunch, a guy called Kunch.
Mm-hmm.
He was a Chinese guy, but running the place. But I didn't know anything about the syndicated stuff. I didn't know anything about the Capone. I didn't know anything about nothing, no racketeer, whatever. So I did this audition. He said, "Oh man, this is gonna be good. We're going to integrate this place." I never heard the word integrate before. So I was going to go find me a dictionary and find out what integrate was. Before I could find what integrate was, he said, "Well, you got to bring this other band, or we can't integrate this place." That's the second time I heard integrate. I said, "What the hell is integrate?" I thought integrate just being a white place and I'm being a black man. I thought integrate was that he's going to lock me up in a room with a bunch of ladies and mate me. and you understand? and I said to myself, I could be a good integrator. You know? Oh, man. How silly was that? But that's what I thought integrate was. But that's when I found out. But when I went to, that was on a Wednesday night. But when I went to work at 9:00. They had one band playing 1 hour on, 1 hour off, back and forth. So he said, "We're gonna integrate this place." He liked the fact that I was a black guy with a white band. But when I went to work, I taken my band, which was all black men. He said, "Oh no, we can't do this. We can't integrate this place." Now that's the third time I heard this integrate shit. So I didn't know what to do. And I said, "Well, what I'm gonna do? I'm going to work." He said, "Come on in. You got to go back and get that band." And next set had a white band to come down with you. Well, the black guy wasn't playing. We were playing in a pit behind the curtain.
Ah.
And you couldn't see out. We could see the top of our heads a little bit, and the stage was in front. We were playing for Go-Go Girl. It had one girl every 15 minutes. We was in a good position because we could look right up under the dress, as men in the back. But you're a young man. We looked up under the dress.
Well, but
But anyway,
so the audience couldn't see you. You were
the audience couldn't see. The audience could see just the top of our head. That's all. Because we was in this pit. But anyway, the young lady said, Bobby Rush, we're going to integrate this place tonight. Now, that's the first time I heard integrate. One of the dancers said, I'm going to get sick tonight. And I'm too stupid to understand what she's talking about. She said, we're going to integrate this place. She said, I'm going to say, I got 15 minutes, but I'm going to do 7 or 8 minutes of my time. Do you jump on the stage and carry my part out? So she played it off like she was sick. She went to cramping like it was a personal thing, with her. And I jumped up on the stage and with my guitar, with this and Chuck Berry crossed the stage, and the people just fell out because they had never saw a black guy before in this place. They fell out and laughed. So that was a guy smoking a cigar. He laughed. I said, man, I got me one good fan, I know. But later on that night, they said, Bobby Rich, come to the office. And when I went to his office, I went to the bar. I said, Mr. Caesar called me to his office. Where's his office? He ran the back. I went round the bar, and when I went round the bar and went in his office, he pushed the button, and the whole wall unfolded. So he been watching me all the time, and I didn't know it. And that was the ball. That was Caesar Capone, man.
Oh.
And he said, hey, boy, sit down. You integrate my place. What you think you doing, boy? Hey, you're a good kid, man. We gonna make a lot of money together. You want to make a lot of money? I said, yes, sir, depending on what I got to do. You don't tell me what to do. You do what the hell I tell you to do. and that kind of a thing. And I said, and I wasn't afraid of him. I was young and silly and crazy. And I said, I don't know who he is anyway,
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing I got to do. But he wrapped his arm around me because he thought I was either smart or stupid, you know?
Yeah.
And he taking me to places, Now let me run forward with this conversation. Later on, I went to go to Fairfield and Roosevelt Road. I said, I'm going to leave this place because I'm going to go where the black peoples are. There's a place at Walnut's Corner called Walnut's Corner on Fairfield and Roosevelt Road in Chicago. So I went there in the early 50s, 51 or 52, 52 or 53, something like that, roughly. And now the black guy was running the place. But I didn't have no idea that this was one of his places. At that time, he owned all the, however it was. I don't want to get into that political thing with Capone thing, whoever, because I didn't know Capone. But then Chess brother found out that I was working for the Capone. They thought I knew Al Capone, and I did not. I would go to record, and they would say, you got any money today, boy? I was so now let me see what my boss said. Okay. And I used that to get out the door with my masters.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what Capone. I never met him before. I don't know where he was living or dead before. I don't know. I just used it because they were afraid of the Capone. They thought I was in the Chahoot, and I was not.
No, you're street. You're street smart.
Yeah.
You're street smart. You know that if they think that you are connected to this really connected guy, that they're not going to take any risk with you.
But let me run just a little further with that. Elmo James.
Ticking you.
Elmo.
Yeah, go ahead.
Elmo James and myself were playing at a place on Costner and Roosevelt Road. Many years, 1956 or 57. And the Capone thing was still big in Chicago. And I was in the club. So that 2 men in the audience stood up, 2 with a machine gun. One was in a phone booth with a machine gun. And they struck the place up. They weren't sticking us up. It must have been a shakedown on the club owner.
Yeah, okay.
Because they didn't bother us. But everybody be still. It won't take up but a minute. We be gone. Everybody be still. So that was a guy called Grant Allison. Well, Luther Allison's brother was playing guitar. Luther Allison was playing guitar with me. And Freddie King was playing lead guitar. So we all was standing. So we stood so long, Grant said, well, I'm going to sit down, man. And he went to sit down, and they stuck a pistol from one side of his mouth to the other side, knocked tooth and everything. I just, whoa. like that, because they thought he was going for a gun, but he wasn't. He was just sitting there. We had stood there for about 20 minutes, and that's the only thing that happened to the audience that were one of the guys in the band. The only thing, and they got whatever they were doing with the club owner, shook him down and took the money, whatever he was doing for him back in the back. And then we went on back to play it like nothing happened, because they wouldn't edit the audience at all. There was some dealing with the club owner. I guess he wasn't playing ball with the Capones or whatever.
Oh yeah. So let me ask you a question. You have lots of energy. I mean, obviously. I mean, and you're coming up here to New York. How many gigs do you do a year now?
Not as many now since the buyers will come in. About 100 dates a year now, a little bit about 150. But before that time, for about 60 years, I didn't do under 280 shows a year.
Holy jeez! I mean, that's a lot of that's a lot of, well, a lot of traveling or not a lot of traveling.
For about 60 years, I didn't do under 250 shows a year.
Wow,
250, 60.
Wow.
But I don't. But you have to do a lot of shows to make up for lost time for the money, and because you wouldn't get paid on the gig, wasn't paying anything.
Well,
I'm just a black man who was playing the blues and trying to make a name for myself and trying to be good at what I was doing.
Yeah.
And underpaid for what I was doing. But that's part of life, and you learn so much.
I think people either find their place or they don't find their place. You leave the place a little bit better than the way you found it. That's
a good attitude to have. You leave and you move on,
Yeah, I people are going to get sick of me here with this statement, but I say it like every probably twice a month. My favorite quote is Jackie Robinson, and it says, "A life has little meaning except on the effect it has on other lives." So you're entertaining people, you're making them feel good, you're making them forget, their problems, you're giving a little bit of joy. Hey, you left the place a little better than the way you found it, right?
You're right. I have a couple of things that I say a lot of time, and I said most of the time that I do interview. That my thing is now I must do all I can while I can. When it comes a time I can't do, I won't regret what I did not do.
Yeah.
I think that if a man make a mistake, he shouldn't wallow in it. But if you learn from your mistake, it's really not a mistake. It's a stepping stone to what you should or should not do, and go on with life.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have a statement. Maybe some people might think it's blasphemous. I don't think it is. But there was one perfect person in the world, and they crucified him. I mean,
that's right.
I mean, right.
That's right.
There's no way you're going to be perfect. And then people beat themselves up rather than, okay, made a mistake. Let me try not doing that again.
But you know what? I'm so glad you mentioned that. And I learned to not to mention so much about those kind of statements, because people have a lot of things they believe in. Some Christ and some not. Some God, some this, and some that, something. And I stopped mentioning that, but that's my belief too.
Yeah,
that's my belief. You said it for me, and what you said for yourself, you said it for me. That's my honest belief, because I have a lot of spiritual values about me, not because I'm a religion, it's just because it's a roadmap to my life.
Right.
It's a roadmap to my life. It doesn't have anything to do with anyone, just to me. That's how I survive. That's how I pass the rat rate, man, because I believe,
Right.
I believe, and since we're talking, I'm going to extend a little bit.
Oh, yeah. No, we're just talking.
What make me a little sick in the head sometimes, out of heart and the heart, is I hear a lot of black guys who are my peers, who's a little bit younger now, says that when they go record, I'm talking about musician-wise or entertainers, I'm going to record this because I think this is what white people like. I'm going to record this because I think this is what black people like. It's not me. I don't say that, because I've tried to record good song, good record, good production, and hope everyone like it. It's not a black and white issue with me. And I started telling this lately, because it may be because my mother and grandmother, grandmother, started with my grandmother from Mississippi. Van Spivey was my great grandfather, and he's white. Mm-hmm. My mother is blonde hair and blue eyes. So I came up in another kind of era where she was my babysitter when we went to school. She had to deny herself being my mother. My daddy was her chauffeur when we was out. She was her husband and my father at home. I came up that way. So I got both sides of the fence. I understand both sides of the fence because that's my mama.
Mm. Like I said, I learned from all these shows. So I was interviewing a disc jockey at Rochester. He's been a disc jockey for probably 40 years, maybe even 50. And he was talking about ratings, how many people are listening to you. And it's really a great concept. He says, whoever's listening to you, you're number one to them. He says, who's ever listening to the other guy, he's number one to them. He says, I never worry about how many people are listening to me. He says, as long as they pay me, but it's you are number one to certain people in your life, whether your friends, you have 5 friends, somebody has 15 friends. Okay, what's better? You don't know, right? So you just.
But you're right. What a good concept. That's the way I am in the audience.
Yeah.
When I'm in the audience, if all of them like one person to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you're number one. You're number one to them.
Well, why it's one of 1,000? Yes, that's it.
Right.
I give all I have to give and all I know how to give.
Right. So you do it. You've all seen the MGM movie. Is at the lion. Yeah. The lion. Okay. The lion on the top. Do you know what that Latin says on the top? It says it says art for art's sake.
Yeah.
Art for art's sake. And you could take that art for art's sake. Yeah, you do it
for art's sake.
Yeah, you do
for art's sake.
Right, you do it because it gives you joy. You feel like you're accomplishing something the way you want to, and you sit it out there, and hopefully people will pay you because you want to make a living. Yeah. But that's not really why you're doing it. I find that with most people that are musicians, is that you do it, you hope you make the money, you hope you make the big time, but that's really not why you're doing it. You're doing it, you connect with an audience, and probably, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's why you're playing at a theater, here in Lima, New York, that at maximum holds 100 people. I mean,
I'm glad you mentioned that, because see, yes, I want to make money. And especially now at my age, you need money, you want to make money. But the money wasn't the first issue of my career. I know I was in the business for about 20 years. BB King told me, "Survivor Rich, one of these days, boy, you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to make a lot of money." You mean I can make a lot of money for something I do for free? Because it wasn't about the money, it's about the love of it.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, you need the money, but the first thing about my thing, what I do, the love of it.
Right, and that's what the Bible says. It doesn't say money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money.
The love of it, and the lust. Yeah, and the lust of it,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right, man. You got to have money to make end meet and so on and so on.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm an older man now. Sure, I don't want to work the gig too cheap now because I paid my dues.
Right.
But it wasn't about the money issue, honestly. When I was 20 years old,
right.
It was about the career. It was about the fun. It was about the knowledge of or what I wanted to do, and it made me feel good inside doing it.
Somebody once said to me, a fellow's on the board of directors of the Rochester Music Hall of Fame. He says, you really like music. I says, no, I like musicians more than I like music. I can tell you, because
I like that.
You're all doing your thing. You're doing it for the love. Yeah, but I've seen guys be happy playing in front of 3 people or 30,000 people. I mean, you see. So my wife and I went to see Paul McCartney. In Syracuse, and how many people are there? 20,000 people. This guy's 80 years old. Why is he doing this for? Because he loves to do it, right?
He loves to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
love to do it.
He's worth 1.5 billion. Talk about money.
Yeah, that's right.
$1 billion.
Yeah, billion.
What is he doing this for?
Yeah, you do it for the love of it. Do it for the love of it.
In Syracuse, Syracuse, New York. Oh my God. So hey, is this the first time you're coming to Lima, or have you been here before?
Oh, no, first time in this. I've been to Lima, but I've been not in this particular place. I came there the first time in a bigger club with Teddy Pendergrass
Oh,
because
wow.
it was in the open act with him,
Right.
a different kind of situation. But this is what I like. I like the close up. I like the
Oh, yeah.
one on one climb because now I'm in a position where now God has spared me to live long enough to make a couple of dollars, and I can give back now. What I want to do now is do a lot of these kind of things. Don't get me wrong, I want the money, but it ain't about the money first. It's about giving back from the bridge that brought me across.
Yeah.
Cause I started with a 100-seater club.
Yeah.
They were juke joints, man.
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
I'm one of the few guys. I'm one of the few guys now. Myself, I'll use myself and Buddy Guy, one of the few guys. But I don't think he would do this. Buddy Guy wouldn't do this.
yeah.
But I'm one of the few guys who got my one foot into the white audience and one foot into the black audience.
Yeah.
How many guys can do that?
Well, you're
I
gonna,
mean, I got two hats, man.
you're going to be here for two shows. So it's the 22nd and the 23rd. Now let me ask you.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a question. You like Italian food?
Yes, I do. Love it. Love it. Give me an Italian sauce. I can live 100 days.
Not for nothing. I'm a damn good cook, and
Oh, you're kidding me,
no,
man.
I'll make you dinner. We it's literally my my house is 6 minutes away from
Hot
from
and
Jim's.
some sauce and some spaghetti. Are you kidding me, man? Are you kidding?
Oh yeah. Well, my mom taught me how to cook because, back then, she goes, I don't want you getting married because you don't have to take care of you don't know how to take care of yourself. So she knew it was going to be tough for me to get married anyway. the way I look.
But if you're a good cook, you ain't got no problem.
Well, the way I look, I'd have to have something going for me. So she taught me how to cook and how to take care of myself and balance a checkbook and do a shirt, whatever. So I cook now, and I make.
You're a wonderful guy, man.
I make a meat sauce. You'd slap the kids away from the pot just to have that stuff.
Okay, man, I love it.
I'll make you. Some,
I love it.
I'll make you some food. Although
I love it.
The food we'll say the food at Fanatics Pub is really good. So you can come down before the show. Let's give Jim a little shout out here so he can sell some tickets out. So you'll be here the 22nd and 23rd of January.
Right.
January.
2 days. 2 days. Make sure I'm there for 2 days.
2 days. It's real easy to get the tickets. Go to fanaticspub.com. You can pick out your seats, which is really good. And be sure to get there early because the food is really, really good. I love the beef on wick, and they make these little roasted potatoes that are really good, but not as good as my meat sauce. Okay. So my meat sauce.
Let me add a little tip to that.
Yeah.
If the ladies kind of nice looking lady, if you wink at Jimmy, he might give you a ticket. Don't tell him I said that. Just this is a Bob Rose told me to wink at you, Jimmy, and you might get a free ticket.
Yeah, well, Jimmy's a great guy. The problem that when I had my I had a live radio Christmas show, and we recorded it, but we had a live show there. Last week and the week before.
Last week.
Yeah, it was like an old time radio show. We had
well, that's good.
And
that's good.
And I have this. I don't know if it's going to be lost on you or not, but here in upstate New York, we have the Finger Lakes, right? You probably know about the Finger Lakes, right?
Yeah.
So I have my own town, and my own town is that I invented is called Middle Finger Lake.
Middle.
Yeah, where life is perfect, but could always be better. So, Middle Finger Lake.
I like that.
Middle Finger Lake. So, so we turned it into the Middle Finger Lake Performing Arts Center. That's what we did.
Yeah.
Jimmy Stage, the Middle Lake Performing Arts Center. And we had, we had a lot of fun. We had some jokes and we laughed. And
well. When we eat dinner, we have some jokes about the middle finger thing. Now we'll talk about it again.
Yeah. Jim is, the thing about Jim though is Jim's a little shy. He gets up in front. He gets up in front of an audience, and he
melts, huh?
Yeah. We got to get him out of his shell.
Well, for 100 people, hey, come on, Jimmy, come on, come on with us. We're gonna hang it up and hang it out. Yeah.
Well, it's been delightful talking to you. It really is.
Let me say before I get off.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you have done, what you're doing, what you plan to do, because what you say about me, what people perceive me to be, So thank you for the kind words, and thank you for the kind thing you asked me. This has been a wonderful interview with me because it means a lot to me the way you carried me through the interviews, and we just talking about life,
Yep.
not in a particular thing, just about where we going, what we doing, where we been, where we are, what we didn't do, and what we should have done, and what we plan to do. Thank you so much for what you do, and because what you do with artists, especially when you tell me about the Little Rascals, man, back in the '60s. Are you kidding me? Are one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And you talk about those people, have them on. You have some good people on. I hope you can continue what you're doing because you spread the news and you give people the opportunity for people to get to know people who they don't know. I'll learn more about people that you should know about. And thank you for that.
Well, I say this so often that I don't know if I'll put it in this show because I say it all the time. But there's somebody that you'll more than likely meet, and his name is Carl Laporta. And Carl Laporta, a piano tuner and a musician. He plays a beautiful keyboard, and so he writes a letter one day to the local newspaper and says, "Oh, we should have a Rochester Music Hall of Fame." And they say, "Okay, guy, go out and do it." And he did. And now we have this Hall of Fame with all these, all these people that came from Rochester. Lou Gramm came from Rochester, and like I said, this fellow, Jack Alaco, 11 Emmys he has, and Gene Cornish, and I can't even name all these guys, and all because Carl wrote a letter, and nobody knows about Carl. But every once in a while, I get the privilege of teaching a class at one of the colleges here. And I say, kids, you need to know this. You need to know that you can be successful, you can have a great life, and you don't have to have 1.8 million followers on TikTok. Okay? Life is what's the currency of your life? The currency of if your currency of your life is literally currency, you're never going to be happy. But you pick things.
I like that.
But you pick things. I from talking to you, I just you seem like somebody I want to make sauce for. So there you go.
You got you got no choice now. You don't talk about it, so my lips is dreaming now.
I promise you.
Yeah.
I absolutely promise you. Like I said, we're only 6 minutes away. We'll have Jimmy come with whatever girl he picks up. So.
Okay. Well, I would have appreciated them. Tell you now, thanks in advance for being so kind to me because I just love Italian food, man. You fix what you fix, and you fix what the people brag to you about fixing.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's Italian food, I eat it.
Yeah.
But what I want to say to you again before you leave me. Keep the blues alive and keep the artists alive and the people who do the blues and people who love the blues. Because the music and what we do and what they have done and what I have done is what to be here forever because there's nothing new under the sun. Everything everything was, is. And it's nothing new. It's just the approach you have to it. Because the thing that I'm doing now is the thing that I never thought I'd be able to do as a man and as a blues man. The last 3 or 4 days has been the hype of my life. And I can tell you now, since we're doing it, we just got through recording about 8 or 10 songs, myself, Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Wow.
And it came out so good, I was just knocked off my feet by the result, by how it came out. And I always want to do this because he's a good guitar player. We both from Louisiana, so we want to prove to the world that Louisiana can get together, especially black and white.
Yeah.
Because this what people need to see. We're gonna make an example. We're gonna show the people that it can be done through our music and our face. And I hope that we can do some tours together and just let the world know that it is what it is. And we are what we are. And music is the key to success in life. And it links everybody together, black and white.
Oh, yeah. Universal language, as they say.
Yes.
The thing is that one of my little disappointments is that I've only discovered the blues now. You know, in the late stage I am in my life. I wish I was immersed with this when I was a young man, because I would have had all those years of enjoying it. And I think that's what I'm a little trying to do with the show too, is expose people to something that, okay, you haven't seen this before because nobody's taken you there, you know. And you know, it's sort of like it's sort of like a wine, or you know, a type of movie, or you know, liquor or something. And somebody's got to show you this. You don't automatically pick this up. Somebody's got to take you there, and you got to realize that this is something that you like. And I have to tell you, I'm a believer. So,
you are the
believer.
person.
I'm a
You
believer.
you can't depend on someone to do what God give you to do. It's you. You can spread it. You can start right now. You started already.
Right. That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to.
You're doing it.
I mean, think of a venue. You had 10 or 12,000 people. That's what we're talking to.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. That's a lot of people. But then where you started from?
Yep.
You started from Jimmy's, place like Jimmy's.
Yep.
100 people, and it grew into whatever. I just left up a little bit last weekend. We had 30,000 people, but now coming back to Jimmy was 100 people. And I do this all over. How many guys in this world that work with 100,000 people? I go to Paris with 100,000 folks, then come back and do 100 people.
Right.
Ain't many guys can do that.
Right. I got it. I got it. Which means you have control over your own ego.
That's right. And I like that.
Yeah.
Control of my own ego.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to have control over your. You know. You the thing is that.
I like that. I'm on you. That's my thing. Control of your own ego. You got to know when you let your ego go or when not. You know. You got to know when to leave your ego at home and when to bring it with you.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something that I learned, and I teach the kids this without the bad language. But I used to, my wife and I worked for Chrysler for a long time, the company itself. Then we sold everything we had, started a dealership. We had like 6 people working at the dealership, but it way back when, and I would wake up in the middle of the night worrying about how to make everybody happy. You know, like, Mrs. Jones is all pissed off and I can't, So I finally came up with my 7% rule. You will use my 7% rule. You'll think about my 7% rule. You'll argue about the percent, but not the concept. Okay? Now drink this in. They are mean. They try to get something from you. They're crazy. They think that the world is flat and whatever. And spend your time and your love on the other 93%.
Man, I got to talk to you. I was just talking yesterday. I got my drummer been with me 40 years. The rest of it with me 30 and 35 years and down to 22 years. And I said to myself, if these guys, 9 people, if they come to me tomorrow and say, Papa Rush, it's been good working with you, but we got another job. God, that'll make me happy. I said to myself, I'm laughing about it. Make me happy. But you always concerned about the people. You want to go to them because, just like you said, some of them are really bullshitting you. Some of them think they slicking you. Some of them think you mistreating them. Some of them think you treat them fine, but yet not fine enough or good enough. You always have that with employees. If you had employees, I grabbed you had a lot of people working for you. You're trying to make somebody happy. Just like if they're doing things for you and with you and making you some money, and God, I have that thing. I got guys with me now that I just wish they could find something to do, because I work a lot of time with the band and with the band a lot of time when I really don't have anything for them to do. But it's an overhead. It's a thing that I try to make job for them.
Yep. Yep.
Because a lot of time at my age now, I'll be better off at home.
Yeah.
And I've been a pretty good businessman through my life, and I have my career set up with. And if I tell you I had a drink in 1957, that don't mean I make a lot of money. But whatever I made, I saved some of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I see that when I interviewing some people in the music business. Some people think that is going to last forever, and some people put it away,
That's right. That's right.
You know, take a.
You know.
You know, the funny thing is not. It's not funny, but you see what Ringo Starr. I got to send you this. I'll send you a 3-minute story about Ringo Starr that one of my guests had. But Ringo Starr with his Ringo Starr All Stars. Now, freaking brilliant. So he goes out there and he knows he doesn't have enough of a portfolio that he can sing for 2 hours. I mean, it's Ringo, for God's sakes. Okay?
Yeah.
So he gets these other stars like Edgar Winter and I don't know who else, and he puts them together.
Yeah.
Other guys that only have a very short portfolio, right? You know, and I don't know, the guy from the Australian group, whatever it is, Men at Work, and whatever, and he puts a show together with him and these 4 or 5 other performers, and he makes a show out of it. And he played upstate New York last year, and really fantastic. Just talk about pivoting and figuring something out and having some joy and whatever. And there's a guy worth $500 million, $500 million, for God's sakes.
Yeah. You're right.
Well, you take care.
Thank you, man.
Okay,
You're a fun guy, man. Thank you for the appreciate you.
Thanks for listening. Tune in every weekend from 10 to 11 on News Radio Wham 1180. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll make more.